Hey, what's up everybody? Now with the release of the next Battlefield in 2016, one can only hope to be something really cool. Now I'm really hoping it's going to be back to World War II era, and that's going to be a 1944. They've already done 1942, they've already done 1943, which you're watching right now. So why not a Battlefield 1944? Now I've already set up a couple of classes and a couple of weapons that they should be using. Now some of these weapons are just ideas, and hopefully some of them will make it in, but these are most of the weapons that the Allies, Germany and Russia would have been using in World War II. So let's go ahead and start off with the assault class. The first weapon, the STG-44. That's a German rifle. Next rifle, the KARG 98. Next rifle, yes, the M1 Garand. We've seen this in previous Battlefield games, and this will have to make it in. And the next weapon is the Gewehr 43. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next class, which is obviously going to be the Engineer. And we'll start off with the iconic Thompson. You can't have a World War II game without having the Thompson in there. The next weapon that we're looking at is going to be the M3 Grease Gun. Next one is going to be the German MP40. We've seen these featured in many games before, and we cannot end without adding the mighty PPSH-41, the Russian one. Plus, you're going to have a couple of gadgets for the Engineer class, the Panzerfaust, a repair tool for your tank, the mighty bazooka, and obviously you're going to have anti-tank mines. The next order of business would be the support class, and we'll start off with the MG42, which you've seen previously in plenty of other World War games. We'll have the MG34. We'll also have the M1919. This is a US light machine gun. And we'll also have the Russian DP-28. Now the next class would have the Scout, the Sniper class, and they will feature a lot of the rifles. They just put scopes onto them. They didn't have too many back in those days. But we'll start off with the Mosin Nagant. They had that. They also had the Springfield M1903. And they also had a stupid Russian rifle. There was an anti-tank rifle called the PTRD-41. That rifle was actually featured in Heroes and Generals. And is literally an anti-tank rifle. It fires a massive bullet, and he does a hell of a lot of damage. When it comes down to pistols, you just can't go wrong with some classics. The M1911 has to make it in. The Luger P08, that's another iconic pistol from the World War II era. The Mauser C96, and also the Russian T33 pistol. Now most of these weapons are already featured in a lot of the games out there that's available right now for you to play. That might not be a Battlefield game, might be Heroes and Generals, might be a ton of other games that are out there for you to play in the World Wars era, and you can try most of these weapons. But I'd love to see a sort of similar setup to mine in the next Battlefield game. We know the next Battlefield game is going to be out in 2016, and after all these years, I think it's time for them to go back and provide another good World War II game for us. It might be World War One, it might be the Korean War, it'd be anything, but at least go back to the wars so we can have some fun like we did back in the day. Now, if you're looking at 1943, this was the last game that it featured World War II, especially when it comes down to dice. Now, this is already a 6-year-old game, and it was already released for the Xbox and PS3, and it was a downloadable game for $15. It wasn't really something that they released for everybody. I know a lot of people on the PC was expecting this to come out in a sort of remastered version a year or 2 years later. There was always chat on the internet about this game actually making it at some point, making it to the PC, but it never happened. So it only makes sense that by having all those modern military shooters that you've been having in the past couple of years, and seeing that it's 6 years since you've actually done a World War II game, it only makes sense that you'd go back to your roots and start bringing something cool to life. Because in Battlefield 3 we had modern, Battlefield 4 we had modern, Battlefield Hardline's modern. Everything is kind of modern these days. Although a case could be made that a tiny little bit of gameplay in Bad Company 2's campaign was actually in World War II. But technically we're not going to count that in, since it's not an actual game about World War II. So again, it's modern, so we can't count Bad Company 2 as a World War game. One of the things I miss from the old Battlefield games is the fun of it. I know technology has changed a lot in the past couple of years, and things getting a lot better these days, but the simpler the Battlefield it was back in the days, to me, the better it was. I mean, Battlefield 1943 is pretty basic. It only has 3 classes. You only have 1 rifle to use, and then that's that. that's what you use. But nevertheless, even though this was a downloadable game for $15, it was one of the fastest selling Battlefield games they ever released. Why? Because it was fun. It was just about having fun, not really overcomplicating things with camos and shields and 84 million types of grenades and all sorts of iglas and stingers, and it was just way too complicated. And I think the simplicity of the game sometimes just makes it a little bit better. You can focus on things that are fun in the game, like using that particular rifle that everybody's using. You know, at a disadvantage, everybody using the same gun. You can't blame him for having 84 attachments stuck on that weapon or anything like that. It was all about skill, and it's about you learning how to aim and how to make your shots count and how to counter for the bullet drop and so on and so forth. You know, things were just a little bit simpler, but in my opinion, those are the games that I've loved for many years, and those are the games why I've been playing Battlefield for going on nearly 17 years now. So yes, that's one of the things what I'd love to see a World War II game. Not overly complicated, just a handful of rifles for you to use, some great maps that overall just have some amazing fun like we had back in those days. And I think it's just about the time is right for them to make a 1944 game. Now, you'll have to let me know in the comment section below what you think. What are some of the weapons you'd like to see? What would the actual war would you like to see? Would you like to see it go to World War One? Although things are going to be a lot different in World War One. Some of the weapons, most of them are going to be bolt action. So it's going to be a bit complicated for a lot of people that don't really love that sort of era. World War II, they did have a lot of assault rifles. They had all sorts of different things. So technology has increased a lot since World War One to World War II. And again, Korean War and so on. So there is plenty of options for them to go out there and do something about it. Or would you just like to see, again, a modern military shooter, which is going to be Battlefield 5, featured maybe in Iraq, Afghanistan, that part of the world? Or would you just like to see a futuristic Battlefield, which would probably be the successor to 2142, and that would be 2143, which will feature all sorts of futuristic stuff that we've not seen a 2142 for quite some time. 2142, if I'm not mistaken, I think it came out in 2006. So again, it's been nearly 10 years since they've done something really futuristic like Battlefield 1942 was. So you'll have to let me know what you think by posting a comment. But that's kind of what I hope to see for the next Battlefield game that's going to be released in 2016. And I don't think there's any need for me to mention Bad Company 3, because I've mentioned that in plenty of other videos, and I'd love to see Bad Company 3 making it in as the next Battlefield game. As for those of you still sort of interested in playing 1943, if you have an old PS3, all you have to do is log in and play. I did not wait at all for this game to load. It took like 30 seconds to find a match, hopped in, full match, had a bit of fun, recorded it, and there it is. It's still a fun game. If you've got a PS3 and if you've got an Xbox, get yourself into the game. Remember what it was back in the old days. Have a bit of fun. It's going to be a bit weird for you to play like you did for me, because I've not used the controller for like 9 months. And I'm aiming all over the place. It's going to maybe feel a bit weird for you to get him sort of back into it. But still, it's going to feel right once you sort of get your aim back on. And it's going to feel pretty cool just because it's simple, it's fun, and everybody's just enjoying it. There was so much going on in 1944. There is plenty of materials and plenty of wars for them to choose from that. There was just stuff happening all over the place. And I think 1944 would be an awesome game for the next Battlefield game. That's it for me for today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, post a comment, and I will see you guys in the next one.